it grew to be so big, and all these teams wanted to play here, so they expanded it. Now there's several county clashes. In fact, there's 5 this year. So there's a county clash today, there's a county clash tomorrow, and there's a couple more in April and May. And everyone around the Inland Empire is going to be here. Santiago is going to be here. King will be here. Arlington will be here. JW North will be here. Tonight, it'll be Redlands against Cajon. And then right after the nightcap is going to be Corona against Northview. So it's a real who's who for high school baseball. And, Jeff, we've talked about this before. When it comes to high school baseball, the IE is a hotbed. There's so many great teams, so many great talents in the IE. And this is pretty cool. They get to come here and play in a professional park. And like tonight's game is a Citrus Belt League battle. So this is a very meaningful game as well because it's a CBL contest.
Yeah, and then tomorrow you'll be out there as well. I'll be with you as Norte Vista's playing a big game out there as well.
Yeah, Novi's going to play the middle game tomorrow. They're sandwiched in between a couple of games. Novi's going to take on Arroyo Valley at 4 p.m. That's another game that we're going to do live on IEMG TV. So I'm excited to see Jason Klug and the Braves go up against a really upstart Arroyo Valley team. The Hawks have had some down seasons, but they're really turning things around. They just picked up a big win against Harupa Hills, a walk-off win. And Harupa Hills, it's usually coming down between Harupa Hills and San Gorgonio for that league championship. But Arroyo Valley now throwing their hat into the mix because I think the Hawks are looking like a playoff team. Don't know if they'll beat San G, but they're certainly going to challenge for a playoff spot in the San Andreas League. And for Norte Vista, this will be a good tune-up as they get into River Valley League play. River Valley League is going to be kind of tough. It looks like Ramona's down a little bit. Hillcrest is on the rise. Hillcrest won the River Valley League championship last year, so we'll see how the old Klug dog and the Braves do tomorrow against Arroyo Valley.
Yeah, Hillcrest is really pretty good. Scott Vollmer, the former MVP of the College World Series when he played at Pepperdine, and now the head coach, his son is a really big-time catcher out of Hillcrest. They're right now leading the River Valley League, but Norte Vista's right there. In fact, they're about hovering right around 500, but have not lost a game by more than 1 run all season long. So Norte Vista really on the cusp of becoming a very good ball club in Jason Klug's second year at the helm.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a great point, Jeff. I think these are two clubs that's kind of like looking in the mirror at each other. These are two clubs that haven't had a ton of success in recent years, but both of them feel like they're having a breakout season right now, and they're going to go head-to-head in non-league action here at San Manuel Stadium tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the middle game of the county clash.
Well, Pep, let's jump out to last night, opening day in the Major League Baseball. I'll tell you what, every one of our Southern California teams struggled a bit. The Dodgers lost, the Halos lost, and the Padres lost. Not a whole lot of run production other than the Halos putting up 5, but let's start with the Dodgers. Dodgers lost to the Giants 1-0. What do you think?
Jeff, let's do some role playing. Let's play jump to conclusions, Jeff, and jump to conclusions, Pep. So the Dodgers lost 1-0 to the Giants. I'm going to jump to the big conclusion that the Dodgers are not going to be scoring a lot of runs this season, despite a very heavy, powerful lineup. And you know, it's kind of the same problem that's plagued the Dodgers on and off the last couple of years. Is you look at them on paper and you feel like they should have no problem pushing runs across the plate, yet they seem to struggle. So I'm going to be jump to conclusions, Pep, here, and just say this would be a snapshot of the rest of the season as Kershaw is going to go out there and pitch his butt off, but not get a lot of run support, and they're going to find themselves on the losing end of a lot of these close, low-scoring games.
I'll tell you what, they just need to look forward to next year because it's already over. They've already lost 1 game. There's 161 more, and I'm not too sure if they can turn it around here after losing 1-0 yesterday to the Giants. But they can redeem themselves. In fact, today, don't we have Johnny Cueto versus Alex Wood on the mound?
Yeah, that should be a pretty good contest. You know, Cueto's had some really good years. He's bounced around Major League Baseball quite a bit, but he's won everywhere he's went. And that's a good matchup with Alex Wood. Alex Wood really had a great season last year for the Dodgers. You know, what's funny, Jeff, is I've heard some of the shows on some of our Fox Sports affiliates here on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM, and a lot of people are panicking about the Dodgers, saying, oh, no, you know, it's going to be just like it was last year where Kershaw's going to be great, the team's going to struggle to score runs, and what are they going to do? What kind of changes are they going to make to the lineup? It's only been 1 game. like it's been one game. It's always those first opening day game jitters. Like, I wouldn't freak out about it, but I know people are because I heard callers calling in here on Fox Sports IE saying, uh-oh, what's wrong with the Dodgers? Listen, there's nothing wrong with the Dodgers. It's one game. Don't freak out.
Well, I'll tell you what, San Francisco, we were talking, they had a horrendous season last year, but they brought in some guys. They brought in some dudes. McCutchen, what a great player, former MVP from the Pirates, playing right field. Then you bring in, is it Eva Longoria? Oh, no, that's Evan Longoria playing
you
third.
Wish.
Yeah, I wish. She'd be a great third baseman. She'd be a hot corner, that's for sure.
Yeah, Evan Longoria is great. And the Giants have a good lineup. I mean, and give credit to Kershaw. Like, don't pin this on Kershaw because even though he sprinkled around 8 hits against the Giants in that game, he only gave up that one solo home run to Joe Panic. So outside of that, he looked pretty good. Just they couldn't score any runs.
No, and like I said, they've really shored up. That's a good outfield. San Francisco is really deep in the outfield. They got Hunter Pence out there, who's another one of those guys that can put up numbers for you. And Buster Posey behind the plate. That's a pretty good lineup. And I assume that the Giants will fare a lot better than they did last year.
Yeah, I think the Giants will be a lot better. They were awful last year. I think that based on what we see in the first game, based on what we see on paper, I think they will have a bounce-back season. And, Jeff, just how I said, like, don't pin that loss on Kershaw. Also, don't pin it on Austin Barnes of Riverside Poly High School because Austin Barnes did not play. So put him in the lineup and see what he can do.
Yeah, Austin Barnes, hopefully he'll get a shot here tonight. He had an elbow issue in spring training, but he seems to be healthy, and hopefully the Dodgers can turn it around before I have to call the season and look forward to next year.
Yeah, no kidding. I think, the Dodgers are going through some injuries. I even said the lineup looked kind of wacky yesterday. Remember they had Kike Hernandez hitting in the cleanup hole. I don't know. The lineup just didn't look right to me. And I think Austin Barnes, if you really wanted his bat in the lineup, you could find a spot for him either at catcher or at second base, although Yasmani Grandal did have 2 hits last night. But I think if you really want Austin Barnes in the lineup that bad, based on what the injury situation for them is right now, you could probably shift some things around and find a way to get Austin Barnes on the field.
Well, let's jump over across town of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. The Halos lost a tough one last night. While we were on the air, the game finished up as we got off the air. They lost 6-5 in 11 innings, but a lot of production from the Angels offensively from your big guns. You had Albert Pujols had a home run, and they seemed to hit the ball well, but that middle relief, that ending pitching just didn't settle well for the Halos as they lost 6-5 in 11 innings.
Yeah, remember, Jeff, we saw that score early on, and we're like, oh, wow, man, the Angels, they're going to be really good. They're going to score a lot of runs. They're going to run away with this game in Oakland. And the more we refreshed our browser, the more we saw the A's climbing back into this one, and Oakland found a way to win this one in extra innings. I think the A's could be a surprise team. I think they always surprise people because they always have guys in the lineup you've never heard of, but they find a way to win with these young guys or homegrown guys that come up through the California League and all through the minor league system. So the A's are kind of sneaky good because you really just never know what you get with them because the guys on their roster, they're not household names. Not yet, at least.
No, and the Angels are going to go with Tyler Skaggs tonight, the lefty. Yesterday I was looking through the stat line. The A's pounded 7 pitchers, including 6 right-handers, for 12 hits in that 6-5 victory on opening day. Hopefully they can, Tyler Skaggs can get him in the win column here tonight and in Anaheim.
Yeah, last year, the Angels starting pitching was a little suspect. I think it was the bullpen that was really the shining, spot on that pitching staff last year. And ironically, last night it was the bullpen that could not hold off the A's. So we'll see what happens tonight. I hope to see more offensive production from the Halos. If you put the Angels and the Dodgers together, it'd be a really good team. You got the pitching and the hitting.
Yeah, you do. In fact, last night, Bob Melvin, the A's manager, was really, really surprised with Shohei Ohtani. He said that he didn't realize that he ran that well, and boy, gets it down the line. He gushed about him. He also said he had a nice swing and hasn't seen him pitch yet. But on the offensive end, he's pretty impressive, and he's got some power too. So he looks to be quite the pain in my side. So the manager for the A's was really, really impressed with watching Ohtani yesterday in his major league debut.
Yeah, and that's something else to watch too, Jeff, because Mike Scioscia's already come out and he said that Shohei Ohtani will start on Sunday against the A's. So we saw Shohei Ohtani play yesterday on Thursday as a designated hitter. I wonder how many days before a start will they keep him in the lineup. I'd be curious if he's going to be in the starting lineup again for the Halos, knowing that his first start will be in 2 days on Easter Sunday, in fact. So it's going to be interesting how they kind of play this out and try to keep him fresh in terms of pitching and also hitting, because this is something that's going to happen throughout the course of the season, is how early do you shut him down to make sure he's rested for his next start. So I think today will be very telling. If they have him in the lineup and they feel like this guy playing designated hitter, it's not going to be a big wear and tear on his body, and that he could be a designated hitter a day or two before his next start. And if they hold him out, then obviously they're going to be playing it safe. They'll say, hey, we'll let you, be the designated hitter 1 or 2 times a week, but we want to make sure you have several days before each start to make sure you're really good to go.
Well, the Angels are going to take on game number 2 tonight at 7:30 at the Big A. And now let's move on over to the college game. UC Riverside, that young ball club with a couple big bats, Connor Cannon and Nate Webb, but Riverside 16-10 versus UC Davis and put off 20 hits. We talked to Troy Percival earlier this season, and he said that the hit and run production wasn't there yet, but it looked like it was okay last night. What do you think?
Hey, Jeff, it's like a sleeping giant. We knew something was going to happen. We knew those UC Riverside bats would finally erupt. That was their Big West Conference opener. So how about that, bursting onto the conference scene with a big 16-10 win against Davis? 20 hits. Connor Cannon, 3 for 4. He had 5 RBI. Nate Webb out of King High School, a true freshman. He went 4 for 5. And then, actually, another guy, Haz Quijada, who I saw here at the County Clash when he played for San Gorgonio not too long ago. He was a starting pitcher, but look at Troy Percival. He's always so crafty, putting guys in the best position to succeed. Haz Quijada coming in to close the game. He went nearly 3 innings in relief, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and he got the save. So Connor Cannon from Temecula Valley, Nate Webb from King High School, Haz Quijada from San Gorgonio, the IE holding it down for UC Riverside and resulting a big win against Davis in their Big West Conference opener.
And then over to CBU, Gary Adcock, my childhood buddy, putting the hurt to Old Concordia last night.
Oh, my boy, old Modi Moats, Ryan Moda went deep. Andrew Bash went deep, which if your last name is Bash, you better be hitting home runs. And then Tommy Bell, he rung up a home run. So CBU was going deep. UCR was going deep. Everybody was winning in the Inland Empire. We just had the Dodgers and the Halos and the Padres, but everybody else won locally.
Well, Pep, we have a big show today, a couple big interviews. We've got John Ramey's going to join us at the 4 o'clock hour. He's going to talk a little Final Four basketball. He's going to talk some Nevada baseball, and he said he's got some funny stories from when he was at the Elite Eight as they were defeated by the Final Four Loyola team that is going to play Michigan. So we got John Ramey in the 4 o'clock hour. We also have Tamica Smith-Jones. Pep, you get a chance to sit down and interview Tamica Smith-Jones. It's really the first interview that we've had from her in Riverside since the abrupt departure of Dennis Cutts and the hiring of David Patrick. So in the 4th at 4:35, we're going to have Tamica Smith-Jones. And then at 5:20, we're going to have Steve Wendt, the man in charge of the 66ers. And then Jim Alexander will be in the 5 o'clock hour. And then at the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to discuss the Inland Sports All-Star Game. We're going to unveil those rosters for you, Pep. And those of you that are listening in the 4 o'clock hour, we will unveil that game, which will be next Saturday, April 7th at RCC. Girls' game is at 5. The guys' game will be at 7, and it will be televised through, you know it,
Teen Vision, TV16, our dear friend.
Yeah, so when we come back, we're going to have more on some high school baseball with Pep Fernandez here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM.
like VitaPack programs, probiotics,
King is a perfect 4-0. King is in first place. And they've got another great skipper, too, in the great Steve Madrill, hashtag the Riv Raised Me. Steve Madrill's a local Riverside guy, Arlington, UC Riverside. He coached at North, and now he's at King High School, and he's got them at 4-0, and maybe the toughest high school baseball league in California, maybe outside of the Trinity League, is the Big 8 League.
And talking about the Trinity League, Santiago right now is still down in that big national tournament with a couple of those Trinity League teams.
Yeah, breaking news. Stop what you're doing. We got breaking news from Cary, North Carolina, the home of USA Baseball. So Santiago won yesterday against Hanover from New Jersey by a score of 3-0. Well, Santiago was back in action today against Mount Carmel from Chicago, and the Sharks have won again. Final score, and that one is 8-4. So back-to-back wins for Santiago at the National High School Invitational in Cary, North Carolina. In fact, I just thought USA Baseball had the live press conference with their head coach, the Santiago coach, Ty de Trinidad, on Twitter. We were busy setting up here at the County Clash at San Manuel, where I was going to check it out. But, yeah, this is a big-time tournament. This is the unofficial national championship tournament in North Carolina, and Santiago is the first team from the IE to go there. It was a tough loss in their opener against American Heritage from Florida. It was 1-0. Cruz Barrios went the distance, only gave up 2 hits, and they lost 1-0. He had a great game, but they lost, but now they bounced back with back-to-back wins.
Hey, Pep, the Detroit Tigers have the first pick in the amateur draft coming up, and Bryce Terang, if I said that right, is still in their top 5. How's he playing?
Bryce Terang had a couple more hits today. They're hitting him right now at number 2 in the lineup, and that's kind of the popular thing to do right now in baseball, is put your best hitter in the lineup in the 2-hole. If you've noticed, the Angels, they like to hit Mike Trout in the 2-hole once in a while. The Dodgers do that when they they'll put like Justin Turner up in the 2-hole. So right now, Bryce Terang, who's a shortstop, and he had been hitting leadoff. Right now, they have him hitting in the 2-hole. And I think they want to give him as many at-bats as possible. They're hoping the leadoff man can get aboard, and then Bryce Terang would bring him around. But, yeah, he's a special player. There's no doubt about it. This guy has Major League Baseball written all over him. And it's just unbelievable that we're going to see him someday soon in a professional uniform. Now, he has signed with LSU, Louisiana State University. But, man, that's going to be that'd be a hard decision to turn down a ton of money being one of the top picks in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft.
Well, Santiago down at Tobacco Road down in North Carolina. They had a opportunity to shoot around a little bit in Cameron Indoor Stadium over at Duke University. And I'm sure they're taking in the sights of a beautiful part of the country right now in the springtime. Great time to be a Santiago Shark playing for that national tournament down in North Carolina. Well, let's move on over to Redlands. Redlands, what do you think of those guys?
So Redlands just had their Citrus Belt League opener against Cajon on Wednesday. They won 4-2. So that's the same 2 schools that we're going to see tonight here at San Manuel Stadium. And what they do in the CBL, like a lot of leagues, is they do a home and home in the same week. So the first game was at Redlands. Tonight's game is here at San Manuel, so it's considered a home game for Cajon High School. So, in fact, I can see Cajon on the field right now. They look exactly like the Oakland A's out there running around. But Redlands, they've got some great players this year. They've got a kid who's already signed with New Mexico State. That's a Division I program. And, of course, they've got Brian Landon, who's one of the top players in the Inland Empire. Brian Landon, I like to call him the All-American because he's a star in football. He's a star in basketball. And baseball is his best sport. He's signed with Cal State Fullerton, which is one of the top programs in the entire country. So Brian Landon will be taking his talents to Cal State Fullerton. He's one of the best. He's not pitching today. In fact, I just saw the lineup sheet for head coach Esteban Valencia. And it looks like Brian Landon will be hitting in the 5th position. He'll be hitting 5th and playing center field today for the Terriers. But he's a special player to watch. He was an awesome receiver and safety on the football team. He was, I think, their leading or second leading scorer on the basketball team. And then now he's a star pitcher and center fielder taking his talents to Cal State Fullerton. So Redlands has some serious firepower, but the team to watch right now in the Citrus Belt League is Yucaipa. Yucaipa was the number 1 ranked team in the latest CIF Southern Section Division II ranking. So the Citrus Belt is always fun to watch because there's so many great teams. Yucaipa, Cajon, Redlands, Rev, Citrus Valley had a great team last season. So the CBL is really fun to watch. I know that the Big 8 League is touted as the top league in the Inland Empire, and I don't think people would argue against that one. But the CBL is really competitive, a lot of talent as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, just a little sneak peek. Brian Landon will be possibly part of the Inland Sports All-Star Classic next Saturday, a week from tomorrow at RCC, if Cal State Fullerton will allow him to participate. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Be kind of nice to see him finish up his basketball career in front of the home crowd of the Inland Empire.
Yeah, you know what, Jeff, I'm excited for you to announce all the boys and girls All-Stars for the 4th Annual Inland Sports All-Star Classic coming up at 4 p.m. And Brian Landon, yes, he has been selected for the game, but it's one of those deals when you're a big-time high school athlete and you sign a college scholarship, you've got to go to that college and make sure it's cool that you play in this All-Star game. More times than not, they say, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. But sometimes you do have a prickly old coach that might say, nope, you signed the scholarship. We don't want you to get hurt. We don't want to take that chance. There's no way you're going to play. So he's going to run it past the baseball coaches at Cal State Fullerton and get the green light that he can play in our All-Star basketball game come next Saturday at RCC.
Well, there's some other teams around the IE. In fact, our guy Tim Hatch here is one of the coaches, the golf coach at Citrus Hill High School. And how's Citrus Hill's baseball team doing this year, Tim?
The baseball team is roughly around 500 right now. They struggled a little bit at the bat. Had a really big win against San Jacinto on Tuesday. They were down 3-1 going into the bottom of the 7th, scored 3 to win it with a 7th inning rally led by shortstop Cody Bowen and catcher Bryson Walsh, 2 seniors that are really key for their success. But they will have 3 transfers eligible right as we speak for their next game. Nathan Hammerly from Poly High School, who will be their number 1 pitcher. Mason Smith, another transfer, and Big Zeke from Anaheim High School California High School in Whittier will be eligible to play, all 3 seniors, and all 3 will step right into the lineup immediately for their next game.
Hey, speaking of Citrus Hill guys, the pitcher who got the victory for Cal Baptist University last night was none other than Jorge Valerio from Citrus Hill High School.
Jorge was one of my students. Great kid. A very talented baseball player, too.
Yeah, I was excited to see him get the win last night. He was one of those guys at Citrus Hill. I remember seeing him pitch a couple times in that there's an early season tournament that Coach Valenzuela does out there, and I saw Jorge Valerio pitch a couple times. You could tell he's a special player, and I'm glad he's sticking close to home in Riverside to pitch for the Lancers.
Well, Pep, that will put a wrap and a big bow on the high school baseball talk. But why don't you go over the teams that will be playing in the county clash the next 2 days? Maybe we can have some people go out and check out the games.
Yeah, so we got Cajon taking on Redlands tonight at 4 o'clock. Right after, it's Corona against Northview. And then tomorrow, it's going to be Arroyo Valley and Norte Vista at 4 o'clock, followed by Redlands East Valley and Citrus Valley. So it's going to be some really good baseball out here at San Manuel Stadium. We're going to have Cajon and Redlands live on IEMG, and we're also going to do Norte Vista and Arroyo Valley live on IEMG tomorrow. So some really good high school baseball going on. And like I said, there's going to be several county clashes throughout the spring, including, this is one to put on your calendar, in May, the Big 8 League will have their final games. The final week of the regular season, the Big 8 League will have their games here at San Manuel Stadium. That's going to be some huge, huge games as King, Corona, Santiago, Norco, Roosevelt, and Centennial all get together with probably the league championship being decided right here at San Manuel.
Well, Pep, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, you and I are going to talk Lakers basketball. We're going to talk about my Warriors, your Clippers, and everybody's NBA G League, because there's some big news that came out of the G League today with a McDonald's All-American when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM.
Thank God it's Friday.
I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
So you talk to the radio?
On Fox Sports IE 1350 for breaking news, exclusive interviews, and big-name guests in the IE.
Having his bath.
Oh, really? Where are they hosing him down?
We're back to the Inland Sports Show. Here are your hosts.
Back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM. I'm Jeff Gorham. He's Pep Fernandez. He is out at the big games in San Bernardino, and we are here in studio. We're going to talk some Lakers basketball right now. Pep, what do you think of my Lakers, baby?
You know, there's nothing more that I love to talk about than the Lakers.
God, I know you love it. I love it.
And I'm really happy when they win, too.
I'll tell you what. Lonzo Ball goes down again. What the heck's going on with this guy? He's missing too many games, and he went down with a contusion. Do you know what that means in layman's terms?
Yeah, basically a bruise. He got hit real hard. He's got a bruise.
He's got a bruise. Now, he did have an MRI, and they did say that he will play again this season, but he is out for Friday's game. But I'll tell you what do you think of these Lakers as they finish out the season? They're definitely mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but the young guys are playing pretty well still. What do you think?
You know, I would be very curious to see how they do without Lonzo Ball if they finish out the season without him in the lineup, because I know he's not going to play tonight against Milwaukee. But I would be curious to see how this team performs. Think about it, without Lonzo Ball and also without Isaiah Thomas, without IT in the lineup. So I'd be curious what this Lakers team looks like with neither of those guys on the floor. And if they do play well, maybe you raise some new questions about this Lakers team.
Well, I'll tell you what, the good news is for the Lakers is rookie Josh Hart, who's missed the last 14 games due to a broken thumb, will return tonight for some action. So that's a positive side. We've seen some great moments from him during the season, and it's nice to have him back in the lineup.
Yeah, you know what? The Lakers, I know they're not going to make the playoffs, but they certainly have something to play for because they want to see how they're going to finish out the year. They want to see a lot of these guys, you know, are they part of their plans going forward? And guys like a Hart, you know, they have an opportunity here to at least, you know, if not with the Lakers, maybe somebody else, you know, solidify their chances to keep a job in the NBA.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. We're talking Luke Walton really wants to build momentum. He says they're definitely outside of the playoff race, but he wants these young guys to really kind of get themselves going, playing hard to the end of the season, going into the offseason, so that momentum will carry them into the next year. And hopefully, you know, with the added pieces they bring in, they're going to bring in 2 max-level contracts, maybe LeBron James, Paul George. We talk about it every single day. And the elimination of some guys, you know, you're probably going to lose Julius Randle. You definitely are going to lose Brook Lopez. So those spots are probably going to be filled by veterans, minimum exceptions. But you could have some big superstars mixed in with these young kids, this young core of guys. And they've been pretty special so far this season.
Yeah, I think even regardless of how they finish out the last 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks now in the NBA season, regardless of how it pans out here, I think they've already exceeded everyone else's expectations of how they were going to perform this year. So I think as a Laker fan, I'd already be excited about the future, even if they kind of sputter down the stretch. If they sputter down the stretch, I'd chalk it up to, well, they're playing some younger guys, and, you know, Lonzo Ball's not full strength, and Isaiah Thomas was out. You can come up with a million excuses if you want. I think if you're a Laker fan, you're already convinced at this point that they're going in the right direction. You don't have to see them win every single game in these last couple of weeks, last 5-6 games. I think most Laker fans are already convinced that there's something positive going on right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's move over to my second favorite team, the Golden State Warriors. And I'll tell you what, the Durantula is back, but he wasn't back for very long. Did you see what happened there last night?
Yeah, he came back from a rib injury. And you know what's funny is I was digging through some press conferences and some stories about the game last night, and head coach Steve Kerr, they asked him, you know, well, what exactly did Kevin Durant say to get him kicked out? And they said, well, he said the magic word. And I was thinking, oh, please or thank you. Why would that get kicked? Why would that get you kicked out of an NBA game? But yeah, he had a little too much to say to the referee, so he came back from a rib injury, but didn't last long. He got booted before even halftime, and the Warriors lost last night. They didn't have Klay Thompson, they didn't have Steph Curry. Draymond Green is back, but they're just not exactly that same Golden State team when all 4 of those All-Stars are together.
Well, the good news is Klay Thompson is expected back any day now, so you get your big shooter kind of playing a few games before they hit that first round of the playoffs, but they will probably miss their best player, Steph Curry, the first round of the playoff series. Do you think that could really be a big difference for them in the playoffs going ahead?
Yeah, I think so. For Golden State, we've talked about this before. They're not going to catch Houston for that top spot. They're pretty solid right now at number 2 in the Western Conference. So the biggest thing for them is not how they're playing going into the playoffs, but just being healthy going into the playoffs, or as healthy as they can be in their current state, because all 4 of their All-Stars have taken time, on the DL. Like, they've all been beat up a little bit. So if they can just get in a little bit healthy, I think that's the biggest thing for them.
And then the Clippers are going to take on Portland this evening. There's a little playoff implications in this one.
Yeah, Portland's number 3 right now in the Western Conference, and the Clippers are only a game back of the 8th and final spot in the Western Conference. I think if the Clippers do not get into the playoffs, they're going to look back on these last couple of weeks, and there's a couple of games, I'm thinking specifically about the game against Minnesota, there's a couple of games that they left out there that they should have won to get them into the playoffs. They're still right there, though. They need a little bit of help, but they're still right there, only 1 game out. And that's a huge one, playing on the road in Portland. That's never an easy place to play. I think the Clippers have an uphill battle tonight, but they're still in the hunt. We only have less than 2 weeks to go in the regular season, and if you're a Clippers fan, at least that keeps you entertained. At least it keeps you interested in the games, because they still have a chance to make the playoffs.
And good news for the Clippers, Danilo Gallinari is expected to play tonight. It's the first time since February 22nd. So that's good news, because he started to come on strong. He was their leading scorer for a good portion of the year, and they're going to need it because Avery Bradley's still injured here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that Gallinari guy, has he played this year, or maybe just a handful of games? Like, and now they wanted to rush him back to try to make the playoffs. My thing for the Clippers, too, is, okay, you make the playoffs, and that's all great, but who are you going to play in the first round? Houston? Golden State? Like, it's going to be rough either way. Yeah,
Gallinari he played in the middle of the year. He had some really, really good games, started to come on strong, then got injured as well. Hurt his hand on February 22nd, so he's coming back tonight as well. So, yeah, Clippers still on the outside looking in, but have a shot to pick up a game tonight if teams fall either way. Now, here's a little tidbit for you. Did you see the article on the Syracuse commit, the 5-star McDonald's All-American Darius Baisley? He is now foregoing his college career to play in the NBA G League, and told Syracuse Jim Boeheim that he was not going to be playing for the Orange this upcoming season. What are your thoughts on that?
We've talked about it before, that the G League, if they could brand themselves as a place to groom young NBA stars, it would be great. But from the player's point of view, I would rather go to Syracuse, because no offense to the D League, the G League I know they call it, but no offense to the D League, but you go there and people kind of lose track of you. You don't go on Fox Sports 1 or SportsCenter and watch D League highlights. You see ACC, you see Big East, you see Pac-12 basketball, you see tons of college basketball. If he goes to Syracuse, I feel like he's still more relevant than as opposed to going to the D League. But if the D League, again, if they can brand themselves as the place to groom the future stars of the NBA for, you go there for a year or two before going to the NBA, I think that's the route they have to go. It's not unprecedented, but this guy is one of the few to be one of the big-time recruits to do this.
Well, we will probably touch back on this. I'll probably talk with Tim Hatch later on in the show about this, but we have to take a break. Pep, you have to go and do a big baseball game at the County Clash. Pep, you have a great day. Have a great weekend. We have a big show coming up. John Ramey will be up after the break here on the Inland Sports Show. Pep, have a good weekend, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, Pep.
We will be right back on the Inland Sports Show, Fox Sports 1350 AM, and we'll be joined by John Ramey, the voice of the Nevada Wolfpack baseball, football, and the Elite Eight basketball team, right after these messages.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday.
She comes home from work in about an hour and a half. Graveyard shift at the hospital. You gotta make some phone calls? You gotta call some people? Well, then do it.
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
So you talk through the radio?
On Fox Sports IE 1350 for breaking news, exclusive interviews, and big-name guests in the IE.
Celebrate your Los Angeles Dodgers
And crazy things happen. Yeah, if you play Nevada against Loyola Chicago 7 times out of 10, maybe 6 times out of 10, the Pack might have won more games, But then you look at the Cincinnati game in the round of 32, the second round game, when Nevada rallies from down 22 with under 12 minutes to go in regulation. They probably got away with one there a little bit when you just look at the percentages. So it all evens out. But, yeah, a 1-point loss in the Sweet 16 is something that allows for what-ifs. But I tell you what, the community here in Northern Nevada is already thinking about November because the core of this team is back with the Martin twins and Jordan Caroline. So it's really an exciting time to be covering the program.
And I'll tell you what, Musselman's name's being thrown around a lot of different places, but I'll tell you what, he's got something really going on very well at Nevada. And we saw the depth of Nevada this year with their team. They only played 6 guys, with the exception of the point guard that went down with that Achilles tear. Do you think the recruiting process for Musselman and the Nevada Wolfpack is going to be impacted? Do you think more guys are going to want to come play for him?
Yes, they are. And when you speak about the depth, there are 4 guys who had sit-out years because of transfer. They call it player development years with this program because it's so transfer-heavy. But their depth, even if they recruit 0, will get better just because guys will become eligible. And these are proven dudes. So I think certainly the visibility and the success of the run to the Sweet 16, it has to help recruiting. It put Nevada in the national spotlight, but also a big group of players, 4 guys are coming eligible next year. So the depth issue, before you get into in-season injuries, will be less of a deal for Nevada this coming year.
Hey, John, we've talked in the past about how intense Coach Musselman is, and watching him in that game work the referees on the sideline was incredible. What was he like after the game?
I didn't speak to him immediately following the game. But I tell you what, it was funny. The next morning, we're on the bus getting on the plane to come home. And he, rather extemporaneously broke down late-game decision-making in that matchup with Loyola Chicago. He previewed the depth for the next year's roster. He had a pretty elaborate rundown of key newcomers and guys that will graduate or leave in the Mountain West, and was also lobbying administrators for budgetary changes really compellingly before we even got on the plane.
Wow.
So, that guy is just always thinking about the next possession. And even though the next possession for Nevada basketball will be in November of 2018, you could see Nuss was already working on it. And I've been joking with the assistants. They hit the recruiting trail hard, and then the coaches go to the Final Four. I mean, they have not slowed down. So, Musselman is, to choose a word, he is industrious.
Thank you, John.
Now, John, let's talk a little bit about Loyola before we go into Nevada Wolfpack baseball, because I'm looking at the schedule. Wolfpack's doing great there, and you're jumping on board as well. But tell us a little bit about what you think. Do you think Loyola has a puncher's chance against Michigan tomorrow afternoon?
Absolutely. Loyola knows exactly what they have to do to win basketball games, and they're so committed to Coach Moser's vision. It's kind of like watching a more athletic Princeton team. Would be the best way I can describe it. When Princeton was good under Carrill, those guys kind of knew exactly where they had to get to on the floor. They cut so hard in the half court. They moved with such purpose with and without the basketball. They played such ferocious defense. These guys are like that, but they have better shot makers, shot creators. They're just better individual basketball players on that roster. So I think they certainly have a puncher's chance. I mean, look, you don't come out of the South region as an 11 seed on a fluke. They caught Nevada on a night when the Pack had their best three-point shooter go 0 for 8. Probably can't dial that up every game, but you saw how they just mowed down Kansas State from the Big 12, which is a great basketball conference. So I think Loyola Chicago is a great, truly great basketball team, and Michigan had better look out.
Yeah, Michigan is similar to Nevada in the sense that they only really have 6-7 guys tops right now that really can make an impact. If any of those guys get in foul trouble or don't play well, Mo Wagner, Matthews, any of those guys, then I think Loyola has a shot with Sister Jean maybe behind them a little bit to go to that national championship, which would be a great story, possibly the best story in NCAA basketball history for the tournament.
I tell you this much. I just want to get this in. The Wagner guy from Michigan, classical music, 19th century, like opera, doesn't get enough run. I mean, I'm not even that big of a Wagner fan, but I know who he is, and so all my musician buddies. I've been saying, hey, there's a guy, and his name's Wagner, but he pronounces it Wagner, like the composer. So all the classical music dorks are enjoying this nice run to the Final Four, because when the announcer screams, another great play by Wagner, it has kind of a double meaning.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had a chance, I got to go with UCR this year to go to Ann Arbor and cover that game, and boy, I'll tell you what, I saw them against Riverside. They were a special team then. I didn't expect them to be in the Final Four, but I'm kind of hoping that they do make it to the championship so that I can tell my kids, my grandkids, hey, I called Michigan when they won the national championship that year. That's the only bright side I can say from calling that game.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's the cool thing about doing play-by-play, Jeff, as you have learned, is that you see teams, and sometimes great teams,
Exactly. Well, hey, John Ramey, I'm looking over here at the Nevada Wolfpack baseball. You guys are 14-8.
First place, baby. First place of Mountain West.
I'm telling you, they better give you a raise because you guys are 8-2 in conference. That's a tough baseball conference. Man, you guys are 14-8 overall. So what's going on up there in Nevada? Is everybody drinking the same water? What's going on?
So head coach T.J. Bruce, who played at Long Beach State and was an assistant at UCLA under John Savage during the College World Series National Championship season, is the head coach here. He's in his third year, and he's got that kind of SoCal dirtbag UCLA baseball style, that West Coast style, working here. And the Mountain West is mostly known as an offense league, and so Nevada's pitching and playing defense, and they're still hitting, but they're taking teams out because they can execute. And I'm watching them take BP right now. UNLV, the big rival, is in this weekend, and UNLV's off to their best start ever. They're like top 10 in the nation in a bunch of big offensive categories. But the Pack got game one last night, 5-4, walk-off piece in the ninth. So, it's baseball season, opening day of the big leagues, Final Four. It's a great time of the year. It's wonderful to have sports in the spring. My favorite time of the year.
Well, I'll tell you what, basketball tends to be a little more serious, but, hey, I've been going to a lot of these UCR baseball games. There's a lot of wacky stuff that goes on in baseball, man. And I'll tell you what, I read all these tweets, the UCR tweets. There's a guy who writes funny stuff. You have a funny story that happened, I think yesterday you were telling me about during the UNLV series.
So, this is a big rivalry. People in Nevada do not like UNLV, and the UNLV people do not like Nevada. And it's not like cordial like UCLA and USC or Cal Stanford. Like, it's a little more heated. And so, as a broadcaster, you are at least attempting to be somewhat objective, right? And there's the Mountain West Network video simulcast going along with my radio call. So I've got viewers and listeners from all over the conference tuning in. And I was explaining how great UNLV was offensively. They led the Mountain West in 9 major statistical categories. They're hitting .324 as a team. They've got the most runs and home runs and all these things in the conference. And I'm just explaining this because, even in the Bible, Jeff, like the story of Job, you have to explain the role of Satan. Otherwise, the story doesn't make sense. So I was just explaining how good UNLV's offense was, but a fan tweeted at me and said, stop talking about that team from down south. And I just thought it was great.
That's funny. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the baseball fans are the best. And I tell anybody that's listening right now, go out to a major college baseball game and listen to the chatter, listen to the fans. It's a great experience, and I'll tell you what, it's a great relief after covering basketball for such a long season. You go to baseball, you hang out in the sun, and watch some great games. But John Ramey, always a pleasure to talk to you. You are one of my closest friends. I love you dearly. We've been listening to some music of yours. I'm going to read off. We listened to some Miss Mama Hollywood, some Cheap Rent, some Jenny, and Places. And that is the great song and stylings of John Ramey. And John, how do we listen to you how do we get your music?
JohnLafayetteRamey.com. And there's links to my iTunes. And that's so nice of you to play my music, my man. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are the greatest friend of the Inland Sports Show. We love you dearly. And I'll tell you what, they need to give you a raise because you got the Midas touch up there. And I'll tell you what, you need to come down. When you're down in the Southern California region, you need to come down in the studio and hang out with us for a while on the Inland Sports Show. But good luck the rest of the way, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks about the Nevada Wolfpack.
Love you, Gore, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You're the man.
See
That's
you, John.
John Lafayette Ramey, the voice of the Nevada Wolfpack. When we return, we will be announcing the 4th annual All-Star Classic of the Inland Sports Show, April 7th at RCC. We're going to announce who's been invited next on the Inland Sports Show, Fox Sports, 1350 AM.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday.
Help! I've been deported. I'm in Tijuana. Javier, can you hear me? Estoy en Tijuana. Javier.
Jesús está en Tijuana.
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
So you talk to the radio?
On Fox Sports IE 1350 for breaking news, exclusive interviews, and big-name guests in the IE.
Your shot at $1,000.
Jeff Gorham.
They're playing basketball. We love that basketball.
We are playing basketball. We are going to announce the rosters for this year's 4th annual Inland Sports All-Star Classic. It will take place April 7th. A women's game at 5, the men's game at 7. It will be televised by Teen Vision at Riverside Community College. Well, the rosters are in. We're going to start with the ladies. The ladies game will be at 5 o'clock, and these are the players that have been invited to play in this year's game. From Corona Centennial, Lauren Mans, a great player, and Jasmine Pete, both of Corona Centennial High School. Congratulations. And our head coach for one of the teams will be Coach Larry Lacey of San Jacinto, and he will have Lizia Bailey representing San Jacinto High School, and representing Martin Luther King High School, Shay Johnson and Paige Jones. So congratulations to them. From Murrieta Valley, Ashley Miller and Megan Ormiston, both of Murrieta Valley. So congratulations to them. And then from Paris High School, Anaya Pelt and Kenyana Breckenridge. From Colony High School, Diana Brewer. From Citrus Valley High School, Jasmine Walker, Aliza Lopez, and Tiffany Lankster. And from Temescal Canyon, Julia Iman, Alana Martinez. And from Upland High School, Diamond Bishop. From Summit High School, Deandra Ross and Alondra Duncan. And from Valley View, Amani Moxley, Jordan Jackson, and the daughter of head coach, Jalen Long. From Murrieta Mesa, Emily Stallo and Alexis Williams. And from Ontario High School, Maya Davis and Sarai Perez. And over on Lakeside in the lovely town of Elsinore, Maya Victor. And from Norco High School, Anai Washington and Naomi Yim. From Riverside Poly, coached by Sid Lara, he's going to nominate Marissa Easley. And from Ramona High School, Elan Thompson and Shamaya from Ramona High School.
There's going to be some great players there. Lauren Mans from Corona Centennial, a 5'9" wing, really athletic. She was recruited by several schools, even got some calls from some Mountain West schools. Julia Iman, great point guard from Temescal Valley, about 5'9", can really shoot the three. You also have Anai Washington from Norco, and Naomi Yim from Norco is signed with the Pac-12 school. I believe it was University of Washington. So you have quite a few players in there that are very athletic. It's going to be fun to watch. And some big girls. Shay Johnson from King is 6'1" post, signed with Concordia of Louisiana. And Xavier of Louisiana. And there's another big in there. She's the big from Murrieta Valley. It is, where'd she go? I lost her. Ashley Miller. Ashley Miller, 6'3" post, can really score. Then on the other side here, we have Kim Kirtland. Coach Kim Kirtland does a great job at Norco High. Got to see his team play a few times, and they're a fun team to watch.
All right, and rounding out our last, Mariah Nelson of West Valley High School. So that will do it for your All-Stars for the ladies that are going to be playing at 5 o'clock, April 7th at Riverside Community College. Now over to the men's side. Starting out from Riverside Poly, finalist, the great shooting guard, Tobin Kund. And from John W. North High School, Mason Westlake, Edwin Collins, Melvin Walker, and LaShawn Jackson. And from Hillcrest High School, we have Osman Manzare. From Rancho Verde, Jason Forte. From Cajon, we have Cameron Brown, the great football player, basketball player duo, Jeremiah Martin and Deshaun Washington. From San Jacinto High School, Henry Campos. From La Sierra, Jared Elliott. From San Bernardino High School, K. John Barnes. From Aquinas, Darian Addison. And we have 2 from Rev, Mikhail Williams and Josh Bryant. From Redlands, Brian Langdon. From Heritage High School, Francis Dagani. And from Murrieta Mesa, we have Shamar Wright. And from Beaumont, CJ Clemens. And Roosevelt, David Agba. Kaiser, Cameron Wright. And Rialto, Waylon Anderson. And from Santa Rosa High School, Andrew Schneider. And rounding out from Tockwitz, Josh Hardiman. That will do it for your Boys All-Stars of the Inland Sports Show. The game, once again, will be at RCC next Saturday, April 7th at 7 p.m. It will be televised by Riverside TV. We will be right back. After these messages, we're going to have an interview with UC Riverside Athletic Director Tamica Smith-Jones here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM.
God, it's Friday.
And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
I beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake, I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it.
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
So you talk to the radio?
On Fox Sports IE 1350 for breaking news, exclusive interviews, and big-name guests in the IE.
The GNC products that help you reach your wellness goals, like VitaPack programs, probiotics,
I don't know.
We're back to the Inland Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Pep Fernandez and Jeff Gorham.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. Well, it's a big time for UC Riverside men's basketball. They're coming off a strong finish to the season, a lot of strong showing even at the Big West tournament as we almost had that number 1 seed, UC Davis. I still think we should have won that game, but the Highlanders were finishing up strong. And joining us right now on the phone, the Director of Athletics, Tamica Smith-Jones. And Tamica, before we get into the coaching hire and whatnot, how did you like the way the Highlanders were able to finish this season going into that Big West Conference tournament?
I couldn't be more proud of those young men and the coaching staff. I've said it to them directly and to the student athletes and the coaching staff that they did exactly what I expected them to do. From day one of the transition, being resilient and having a lot of focus. That was led by Coach Bell and his team of guys that were leading those young men. And then we had those seniors step up. I mean, I hadn't seen some of the leadership that they displayed going down the stretch. And so I could tell that they were driven to finish strong and for a lot of reasons and for, if nothing else, to make sure that those seniors got a chance to go out in high fashion. So making it to the tournament, was one step of it. But actually getting into the tournament, I stayed behind from our my duties on the women's basketball committee to make sure that I was present to just be there in support for them on the day that they actually played the first game with Davis. And they played it to the end. If we had 2 more minutes, we would have pulled it off.
I know. What time ran out. Jeff Gorham and myself, we both feel those losses. That drive home back to Riverside, it was painful because we felt like, oh man, that was one we should have had. But it was a great way to finish the season. It was a strong run put together by Coach Bell and the Highlanders. Now David Patrick steps in. He was the associate head coach at Texas Christian University most recently. He's been named the head coach. He'll be formally introduced by the school very, very soon. Tamica, what was it about David Patrick when you met with him, when you looked at his resume, whatnot? What was it about him that kind of separated himself from the other candidates, other coaches that you were looking at?
Well, one thing that really separated him was, his pedigree, his resume of having had some great experiences from, mid-major programs that had to build and develop talent and a foundation for a program to be one of the best in their league, like at a St. Mary's, and also having had the opportunity to work with, some of the greats in places like LSU, where you can recruit just about anybody if you can get in front of them. That variance of experience is very important to me. One of the things that I've marveled at being at Riverside is, just being able to recruit the best talent to build this program into the relevant Division I program that Chancellor Kim has a vision for, that I was hired to make sure that we did all the things that matter for our student athletes and their experience, and hiring and making sure that vision was laid and set. And so it's been interesting to see Coach Patrick's journey, as he's had time to be a part of programs and get his hands dirty and building them. And as well as I know, it's all about the players. It's all about the student athletes. And anyone that thinks anything different, I would have to really listen intuitively, because as a former player and a former coach, and now I'm sitting in the athletic director seat, I do believe that if you get the talent, that you can compete with anybody. And so, that sometimes can disregard the limitations on facilities, on funding. And Coach Patrick has proven to do that. All the stars that he's been able to recruit. What separated him in probably our interview was the fact that he understood the value in recruiting young men that would be just as serious in the classroom as they would be on the court. So, being at an LSU, TCU, you can pretty much recruit any talent that you want. Being at a Riverside, you're going to have to really be able to find some hidden gems sometimes, and I think he can do that.
Yeah, being a UC school as well, you got to have the grades to get in. So UC Riverside is a good gig, but you're right. The kids also got to get the job done in the classroom to stay eligible. And being a head coach, it's more than just the coaching the basketball. Like you said, it's the fundraising, it's the recruiting, it's all these other things that are part of the duties of being a head coach at the Division I level. Like you said, that was kind of appealing about Coach Patrick, right? Because he was able to do a variety of these different things in the role of a head coach.
Absolutely. He's been a part of some great staffs. I mean, Jamie at TCU, he's been able to really run as much of the show as he wanted to, and so being able to have somebody that has that background and experience of the value of bridging gaps, whether that's financially, whether that's with relationships in the community, whether that's being able to take these young men to the next levels of their profession, whether that be playing internationally or we may get a shot in the States, who knows? I think, we all know that when men decide that they're going to play Division I basketball, they typically have a good plan in place that they will continue to play as long as their bodies will allow. So I heard that from, Alex, and I've heard that from even some of those that have gone on and made their own way, like a Jalen. And I think having a person like Coach Patrick that really can help these young men is really key. I'll never get away from, my real passion for what I do, and that is to make sure these student athletes get just as much of an opportunity as athletics has done for me, has done for Coach Patrick. And me and him shared a lot of those conversations and dialogue quite differently than some of the other coaches that were vying for the job. So that was very important, that those two primary objectives of student first and being able to really elevate our relevance across men's basketball Division I landscape it was critical, and Coach Patrick was the one that I thought most closely identified with that.
We're talking with Tamica Smith-Jones, the UCR Director of Athletics. And Tamica, I want to give you a chance to voice your thoughts about not only Dennis Cutts and the new coaching hire, because I know a lot of people out there are sometimes jumping to assumptions and whatnot. You mentioned something, and I think it goes back to the whole coaching deal, is that you need to put the student athletes first and make sure that their experience at UCR is going to be a good one and a fruitful one. So can you explain, why make a coaching decision in the middle of the season, and how important was it that when you hired Coach Patrick that you knew you were getting the right guy in place to replace not only Coach Cutts but also the interim coach Justin Bell?
Yeah, well, these decisions are never easy. As athletic directors, they pay us to make decisions, and sometimes you can't please everybody, of course, but you have to be thoughtful, and you have to stay with your core values. You have to stay with the mission of the university. You have to keep the student athletes at heart. And I'll be quite honest with you. I don't know if people saw the writing on the wall or what, but I was basically threatened by some of the boosters about making any kind of transitions or decisions. And that's a tough place to be in my seat. But with the support of the chancellor, with the support of the close consultants that I work with, that former UCR men's basketball players who are now doing great things right here in our region, alums and other community officials that really care about the student athletes and not necessarily have their own agenda. They made it very clear to me that they were very supportive of whatever decision that was made, and understood the business side of this as well as the core of what we need to be doing as we made any decision in athletics, and that was to make sure that the student athletes were first, that their experience was second to none, and we can do that here at Riverside. And the mid-year transition really just happened as a result of, some of the student athletes, they weren't happy, and they felt comfortable enough talking to me as the athletic director about some of their concerns. And it was some of the concerns that were addressed were things that we could resolve. And so the other part of it is, the the experience that they thought they should have been having, it was subpar. They enjoyed, they were very grateful and appreciative of what we provided for them and education, the opportunity to compete. But, that pretty much was it from the standpoint of really did they believe that we could help them transition to the next place? Did they believe that we could help them resolve issues that came up personal in their lives every day? And when they start having to have a conversation with the athletic director versus being able to have that conversation with their, assistant coaches, head coaches, sometimes the conversations were had in the training room. Sometimes they were had in the academic services area. Wherever they felt most comfortable, they were having those conversations. And, it was disheartening to have to make a mid-year change, but I knew with everything that I had evidence of that we weren't going to, make a slam dunk of the year. We weren't going to be the Big West champion, so to speak. And so with that thought in mind, it was totally get out in front of the rest of this landscape and all the hires that you see are being made right now. I'm here in Columbus now with the Women's Basketball Committee and had a coach, an AD that's on the committee, made a coaching change in 5 days. It took me 2 months.
Yeah.
And they're at a historically black college and university. Made a coaching change in 5 days.
That's quick.
That quick. And so, I look back and can only imagine if I would have waited until the end of the year and still had to make this adjustment, what kind of position I would have our student athletes in, our program in. And again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate what Coach Cutts did to bridge the gap. I mean, he came with the previous athletic director, who was the coach at the time, and he had 10 years here to help mold and make this program a better program. And he said one thing to me that I really, really respect, and that is that he did the best he could with it. And we need some help. And I told him unequivocally, I know that, Coach, and I know we need some help. And so we've got to get some people on the team that could really help us. And so that's not just in the head coach position, that's in many positions. I'm in the final stages of hiring a senior associate for external affairs who can kind of bridge the gap, take a lot of the load that I'm having to carry on the ticket operations, the media relations, strategic communications, the external affairs that will bring dollars and cents. My focus as an athletic director really should be hiring the best talent to put in front of our student athletes and bringing in resources that will help advance the vision forward. And I'm doing all that I can to do that. I'm working with Learfield now on a deal that is going to, it's going to be a historic deal for our program. And so men's basketball is one of those things that I just wanted to get a person in place that can handle it from A to Z, that has already had the experience of doing it at a high level, at a mid-major, and Coach Patrick just checked all those boxes for me.
We're talking with Tamica Smith-Jones, UCR Director of Athletics. Tamica, finally, I just wanted to ask you the fact that the way the season kind of played out. Jeff and I, we saw every single UC Riverside game, either both of us or at least one of us. And when you take a look at just the Big West Conference games, the Highlanders were in every single game. The one that got away was the road game at UC Irvine. But the other games, they could have won all of those games. And I know, people say, well, they couldn't have won all of them. No, they were in every single game except for that road game at UC Irvine. So with Coach Patrick stepping in, what are your expectations? Because I look at a Cal State Fullerton who UC Riverside beat and almost beat twice. Fullerton went to the big dance in the NCAA tournament. What are your expectations for this program? And are you hoping to see UCR in the NCAA tournament soon?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I absolutely hope that we can help give Coach Patrick the resources that he needs. And that's not just dollars and cents. That's, being able to, recruit and retain our student athletes that we have now, which are our priority. to be able to place them academically in majors that they desire to be in and that would fit their balance for athletics and academics, that we'd be able to, do all the things that a Division I program should be able to do. But I think for Coach Patrick, those close games are going to be games won because he's got the experience of playing in the toughest, game. Big 12 is not a Big West. And he's battle tested. He works. We talked a lot about how closely he works with, analytics and the things that they do at the major universities. I think that would close the gap on where our strengths and weaknesses are, what we need to be spending our time on in practice. It's going to be pretty exciting to see what he can get out of what we already have in our program, which I think is some of the best talent in the Big West. And like you said, I mean, we beat most of the teams in the Big West, and with Fullerton winning it, I mean, that was just, one more sign that we can be in the championship game. So I you still have to, toss the ball up and play the game. But I believe that what Coach Patrick brings is he'll be able to get us those hidden gems that we couldn't get with what we had been doing in the past, as far as recruiting is concerned. And I also think that he will definitely be able to use his experience and the coaching the sport at a high level, being able to listen to the best coaches in the industry, being able to utilize his skills and training with analytics, being able to position our student athletes in the best places and on the court in training and getting their bodies fit to finish strong every game, and working with our strength coaches, working with our trainers, pulling in nutrition support for our student athletes, diet. He's done all that. So it's not a guessing game. It's not, whether it can be done, it's how we will do it. And I'm just so excited to have him on board and to be able to support that. And as an athletic director, supporting a vision of his for his basketball program, not, kind of walking it out in the blind or not sure what we want to do. I think he has a plan. He shared that plan with me. And it's my job to just help support him and get it done.
And Coach Patrick was gracious enough to join us here on the show, and I know we'll be formally introduced at a press conference coming up very soon at UCR. Tamica, we always appreciate the time. Enjoy the women's Final Four. I know it's a business trip, but try to soak in a little bit of fun out there too, and we'll see you soon back on campus.
Yes, and that press conference is April the 11th. We hope to see everyone there. It'll be from 3 to 5 in the Johnson Family Practice Center, so please make sure if you don't have the information or RSVP, send me an email and we'll make sure you get on the list. Thank you again, Pep. Thank you for all your support of what you do for UC Athletics. Go Highlanders.
All right, that's Tamica Smith-Jones, UC Riverside Director of Athletics, and we'll be right back. It's the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
First, you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on! Do it! Come on! Do it!
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
So you talk to the radio?
On Fox Sports IE 1350 for breaking news, exclusive interviews, and big-name guests in the IE.
It's 3 p.m.
right, I'm ready. Roll.
We're back to the Inland Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Pep Fernandez and Jeff Corum.
You got it. We are here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM. It is Friday, and we are going to finish up this week strong. Greg, can I just tell you something?
What's up?
I really missed you. I've been out of the studio for 4 days. Do you know where I've done the show from? I did it from my mom and dad's, my mom's sewing room yesterday. I was looking at pictures of me as a youth with beautiful flowing hair. I was in the sewing room doing the show, hanging out with my parents. The day before that, I was laying in bed. The day before that, I was out by my pool, hanging out, having a martini, thinking of you, buddy. I missed you.
Miss you back, man.
Pep, I really don't know if I miss him because I haven't seen the guy in like weeks. He was on vacation. He was like hanging out with the rich folk. And you know what I think about those rich folk?
I know what's coming up.
Oh, to be peasant Pep hanging out in the rich area of Balboa Peninsula in Newport Beach. He wasn't there vacationing. He was there cleaning boats and picking up tin cans. Did you know he was picking up tin cans?
No way.
Yes, he was picking up tin cans. You know why?
Why is that?
Because he needs to recycle so he can pay for his tent in Tent City. You know what I was doing? I was hanging out by my pool, my Shangri-La, with all of my ladies. Do you know how many ladies I had with me?
How many?
Oh, I had 25 or 30. They were all hanging out by my pool. They were wearing small bathing suits, and they were feeding me grapes. Do you know how they fed me the grapes? They peeled them, Greg. They peel the grapes because I will not chew on any grapes with the skin on them. Who chews grapes with skin? I don't chew apples with skin. I don't chew grapes with skin. And I do not mess with those things. I eat caviar by the gallon. People eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream. No.
Hey, Tim Hatch, have you met Rich Jeff?
Yes, I've seen him from afar.
Tim Hatch is a peasant too. He brought in his peasant boy. They were begging. I saw them on the streets. I pulled them up and I said, "Would you like to come to the Inland Sports Show today?" And they said, "Yes." Tim, do you like coming to the Inland Sports Show?
It's incredible.
Oh, it's a great time to be here. And I'll tell you what, when Pep's not here, the walls are laced in gold. Gold, I say, and I love every minute of it. I'm glad you brought your son, Zachary Hatch. I heard he's going to sing for us a little bit later.
Oh, absolutely. He's a budding superstar.
Too bad he looks like a hippie. He looks like he should be panhandling. He looks like a panhandler. I heard he could sing, though. So we're going to talk to him a little bit after we talk.
He can handle a pan, too.
We're going to talk some Final Four. How you doing there, Timmy Hatch?
Outstanding.
I had to go a little Rich Jeff. I missed being Rich Jeff and talking about Pep and Peasant Pep.
Peasant Pep.
Peasant Pep. He was recycling cans off the beach in Newport.
I hope the walls weren't taller than 5 foot, or nobody would have seen him at Balboa.
You know, the thing is, he was telling people he was there with his family. He wasn't. He was living in Tent City down in Irvine. It wasn't in Newport Beach. He was in Irvine or Santana. That's what I heard. Hey, we got the Final Four, and it is set up. We got Loyola versus Michigan. We have Sister Jean. Sister Jean, do you think Sister Jean can take over and bring the wrath of God down on Michigan? I know you're a big Michigan fan. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, the way I see this Final Four is we have Jay Wright versus Bill Self.
Stop. Listen.
Sweet 16. She says, I am the one who will dance with the poor around.
Everyone knows who Sister Jean is. When she walks, eyes turn.
And sister always told me, be careful what you do. Don't go around breaking.
You didn't know about this, Tim?
Sister Jean.
I've not heard it before.
Sister always told me, be careful who you play. And be careful when you lose. Cause the common knows the truth. Hey, Sister Jean is not my mother. She's just a man who happens to be a nun.
Who can ever go against Sister Jean? Now, here's the deal.
Everybody stop.
Loyola Marymount. No, Loyola of Chicago. is going through one of those magnificent runs in this tournament. And I'll tell you what, this is one of those momentous occasions where it's a puncher's chance. Anybody has a shot down the Final Four, and it comes down to 4 teams. Loyola versus Michigan. What are your thoughts, Tim Hatch? Right
Cinderella slipper falls off. It's over. The stepsister wins. It's time for the stepsister to step up. John Beeline versus Loyola Chicago and Sister Jean. Mo Wagner versus Cameron Krutwig. It's over. They can't match up. Then on the other side, Bill Self, who's just himself.
Oh, no. We're going to stay with Michigan.
Stay with
here.
that side?
Yeah, stay with that side right now. Don't jump.
They can't match up. They can't match up. Loyola Chicago, it's over. The magic is over.
I'm going to tell you right now. I've called a Michigan game earlier this year. Michigan is good. They've got Matthews, who's a very good player, to shoot the ball on the outside. They have Abdul Rahman, who can play, good playmaker. And then you have
Duncan Robinson.
And then I think you have the best big man, the guy that can stretch the floor. We talked about him, Mo Wagner, the German, who probably could have gone in the draft last year, who probably would have been a lottery pick, but decided to come back. And I'll tell you what, a great choice now that we're looking back on it hindsight, because his stock has risen within the tournament. He's going to be a high draft pick. What are your thoughts on there's another guy on the team, the guy that can shoot, the Division III player.
Duncan Robinson.
Came out of nowhere, a transfer. Very rarely do you hear a guy transfer from a Division III to a Division I, and he did a great job this year. He's one of those premier shooters in the conference.
That's why this is meant to be for Michigan.
Okay, tell everybody where you're from, Tim Hatch.
I'm from Michigan. I was born in Bad Axe, Michigan. AXE, Bad Axe. Grew up in Detroit. My son was born and raised in Detroit until he was 5.
Yeah, I don't think that was raised. I think he was born. Raised would mean he lived there.
Raised till he was 5.
Yeah, that's like me saying, "Hey, I'm from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania."
But you're not. You're not.
But it's like saying I was raised there. My dad is though.
Is he really?
Yes, he's from Beaver Falls.
Joe Namath.
Yes, yes.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, Joe Namath, and
John Gorham.
John Gorham, the great John Gorham. Yes, on the Wall of Distinction.
Okay, but really quickly, Duncan Robinson. Every time he scores more than 6 points, Michigan is undefeated. Did not know if you knew that fact.
Okay.
And second, Mo Wagner. Ride of the Valkyries, Wagner.
Okay. I'm with you.
It's too much for them.
No, I'll tell you what, Loyola runs that really good half-court sets. They run offenses till they get an easy shot, the best-looking shot on the floor. But I'll tell you what, their bigs do match up well with Michigan. They're a little deeper than Michigan. They go 9 deep. Michigan goes 7 deep. No more.
They go 8 and 9.
No, they don't.
Who hit the game-winning shot?
It doesn't matter. They go 7. Huh? Their 7 best players are the only guys that play. And
Jordan Poole, game-winning shot against Houston. He's their 9th guy. Thank you.
Stop.
Who has the best defense so far in the Final Four? Michigan.
We will see, my friend. I am picking Michigan, but because of Mo Wagner. I think he's the best player in the entire tournament, outside of Newman. Hello, Newman, out of Kansas. So we're going to go over to Kansas Villanova. Give me your thoughts on Kansas Villanova there, Tim Hatch.
Two great coaches. Two great coaches. I think this game comes down to 2 really evenly matched teams with 2 coaches who have great experience. Both of them have won championships. But there's something about Villanova. They always find a way in the end to just tune it up, turn it on. Brunson, Player of the Year. He's a gamer. And he's a shorter guard, but he can post guys up. And, if he gets hot, he's just a heady dude. He shows great poise. He has a great upside.
Okay, I will say this. Brunson has probably been the most dominant player in college basketball in the sense of total command of this team.
That's right.
Kind of Trae Youngish, not as big a scorer, not a good passer, but he does control the tempo of that offense.
Yes, absolutely.
He's one of those guys that can run the offense through the big men and make sure that they get out and they run everything. He is a true floor leader. He's unflappable and one of the guys that could lead Villanova to a championship.
How about Spellman? I think Spellman's really underrated. 6'10", he lost 40 pounds?
He lost darn near one of your sons.
He lost my daughter, pretty much. But his game has really stepped up a notch. But let's go back to Newman.
Hello, Newman. Newman put up 11 points in that overtime win versus Duke. And I'll tell you what, he has really, really shown that he is on the cusp of being one of those guys that is a one-and-done player and could carry possibly this Kansas team to a national championship.
Transfer from Mississippi State. His dad was a star at Mississippi State a long time ago. And he came out of nowhere, I think. People didn't expect this much from him in championship efforts. And we also have Graham there. And the big fella who comes off the bench. And he's a shot blocker and just a stud inside. Their bigs are better than Villanova's. But Villanova's guards, DiVincenzo. How could you go against DiVincenzo in the point guard college?
I will say this. If you are Villanova and you're talking about the 4 losses they have on the year, they shot under 20% from beyond the arc. I'll tell you what, they did beat Texas Tech after shooting so poorly in that game. Came away with a win, but I'll tell you what, if they don't shoot well, they're going to get beat because Kansas Jayhawks, they've won 13 straight league conference championships, and they're poised to win could be poised to win another national championship in the same place that they won their last one under Bill Self.
Now, John Beilein and Michigan were cheated in the 2013 championship by the Louisville Rick Pitino group. You know what I mean? They vacated that championship. Way to go, Ricky P. And now it's going to be Villanova v. Michigan for the championship, and the champion coming out will be your Michigan Wolverines.
All right, well, I'm going to have to tell you this. I have 2 thoughts on this. I think if Villanova can shoot the ball and they use that great playmaker and they shoot above 35% from beyond the arc, they're going to have a chance to beat Michigan in the championship. But I will say this, if they don't shoot well and they play like they did versus Texas Tech and the other 3 losses they've had on the year, I'll tell you what, Michigan will walk away with a national championship. And you, my friend, will be very, very happy.
So who are you taking?
Michigan.
All right. Now, Zach.
Okay, here we go.
Come here.
The world.
Microphone, Zach.
Those of you who are listening, Tim Hatch brought his son in. His son is a student. Step up to the mic here. Zach, where do you go to school, Zach? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Zach, and I go to the Los Angeles Film School.
Los Angeles Film School, and you're studying to become a big singer, right?
I'm studying music production, but yes.
Okay, how do people are listening, how they follow you on the social media outlets before we get to your big song here?
Ooh, all right, my Instagram and Twitter is I am Zacharias, so it's I am and then _ ZACHARIAS.
All righty, well, Zach, we're going to let you play us out here into commercial on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back, we will have an interview with the 66ers, Steve Wendt, and he's going to talk to us about the upcoming season here on the Inland Sports Show. But right now, Zach Hatch with an original hit.
All right. Did you want to look up the instrumental right now? Or do you want me to just...
You got to sing, buddy. Hey, whoa. You got to go into it and just sing.
You just want me to go a cappella? All right.
You got it.
All right.
Let's go.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't bring...
Come on, Zach Hatch.
Rock.
All right, fine. This is so weird doing it without any instrumental, but yeah, I got you. All right. Okay. It's like I'm under your spell. Will you leave? I can't tell. But you might as well just stay with me till you find someone else. But you won't leave until your love's uninstilled. I don't know what I'm gonna say, but all I know is you gotta stay. Cause without you I'm a chocolate stain. Cause you just wanna wash off the pain, yeah. Though I'm no longer on your brain, you've been on mine for the longest, and I can't get you out, so I'll just love you till I turn to dust. Oh, you make me never wanna see the daylight again. Oh, you make me never wanna see the daylight again. See the daylight again. Oh, please don't go away. If you stay, I'll be okay. And that's it.
Zach Hatch, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, good job, buddy. We'll be right back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM.
Thanks, guys.
On behalf of myself, Jefe,
the rest of the boys, we chipped in and got you this gift. It's a sweater! It's a sweater!
Inland Empire sports fans,
to find a forest near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi. Is Grandma there?
No, she's getting her hair done.
We're back to the Inland Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Pep Fernandez and Jeff Gorham.
And welcome back to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We're proudly brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled, quick quality oil change, Kin's Sporting Goods, Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass, and Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. Well, baseball season is upon us in the big leagues. We've got opening day, a big weekend of Major League Baseball, but next week, right here in the Inland Empire, the California League is going to get it cracking. We're talking about the Inland Empire 66ers, of course, the proud affiliate of the Angels, and the man who calls all the action all season long, the great Steve Wendt, broadcaster for the 66ers. Steve, how are you doing today? You excited for baseball?
I'm always excited for baseball, but the clock's ticking. It's getting close, so we're excited.
See, you have a challenge because you have to wait and see who the Angels actually send to you guys, right? So I know you're probably trying to do homework on some of these players, but you don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's you speculated. I've been doing this closing in on 20 years, and so I used to really grind it out, try to figure out who's coming, and I've become a little bit more patient. I don't have so much plan up in my brain, but for the most part, I kind of speculated on maybe some guys we had late last season. They call us, maybe they start back with us, or guys who spent the whole year in low class A, a step below us in the chain and earn a promotion, things like that. So you have a rough idea, and then always when you get that, surprised by some and not so surprised by others.
As the broadcaster for the 66ers, we've seen a lot of good players in the organization, from the Dodgers now to the Angels, of course. Who are some of the big names that we're seeing across Major League Baseball? You had a chance to see them before they were stars, they were budding stars.
Well, for a long time, I was fortunate to broadcast in the Milwaukee Brewers organization and saw some of their young players come up. And really the name there that I worked with, and it wasn't for very long, was Ryan Braun, a Southern California native who ended up winning an MVP and now as the elder statesman is transitioning to first base. I guess that's kind of odd, too, now that, I saw these guys when they were young players, and now they're the guys in the twilights of their career.
Yeah, it's like, how can that be? We're not old.
Yeah,
how can they be old?
I know, but every day I look in the mirror, all that gray hair, I get a reminder. A Ryan Braun's a great example. For the Angels, this is my 5th season with the Angels as an affiliate that I've worked with, and it's been exciting to kind of see this organization on the upswing. When I first got here, I think the experts would say that the system was a little bit down. I missed Cole Calhoun by a couple of years before he got up to the Angels, players like that. But now we're seeing, guys like Keenan Middleton and Cam Bedrosian who are going to hopefully really make their mark in the bullpen for the Angels this year. And we'll see. That's kind of the excitement, is who's going to be the guy that you say, wow, I saw him way back when.
Yeah, I've covered a little California League baseball throughout the years, and guys like a Mike Trout or an Evan Longoria who played for Visalia several years back. Again, I've got some grays too, Steve, so Evan Longoria was more than a couple years ago, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I know.
But it's kind of cool to spot these guys. Of course, there's the high draft picks, and there's the guys that have the fancy cars out in the parking lot. But there's some other guys that actually, they kind of slip through the cracks, or they go under the radar, and they turn out to be Major League Baseball players. Is that kind of the fun in your job, because you get to see every game, you see all these guys, you can maybe spot some potential and say, you know what, I would not be surprised to see if that guy makes his way up through the system and gets a crack at the big time?
I think that's a really good point. I think that there are guys, there is kind of
focus on the
they're going to get more opportunities to face. undrafted.
it or not, that is the
he's a
biggest
great
thing
example
for
of someone.
customers on an oil
I mean,
change.
personally, I root for all the guys to succeed, but I think you're only human. It's
getting it done and
a little bit of
driving
the
out.
underdog that you're pulling. I can think of guys that
we just greet him, get him going, and they're done in
I
about
remember
10
him
minutes.
repeating rookie that is a guy who persevered and ended up, making it to the big leagues despite what people were saying about him.
We're talking to Steve Wendt, 66ers broadcaster here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350. I love my baseball. I love baseball, and I love box scores and looking at lineups and stats. And I love all that stuff. And like you said, picking up some prospects. Major League Baseball also has the luxury of doing some pretty neat things and some fun things to make the whole environment, the whole experience a little bit better. I know there's going to be a salute to Hispanic heritage. You guys are going to be, was it Los Cucuys, right, on Thursday nights at home?
Yeah, starting in May, the Cucuys. We are part of a program in minor league baseball. Minor league baseball reached out to us as part of their greater initiative to try to expand the fan base and celebrate the fan base that is Latino or Hispanic. And we were chosen, partly to expand it, but also due in large part to the fact that we've had some success in those markets over the years. But we're rebranding those Thursday nights and came up with kind of a creative way to do it. The Cucuys, Los Cucuys, which was something that I had to learn about. But it's, when we announced it, we were nervous. We were very nervous. We're like, well, will people respond to this? And the response has been overwhelming. For fans who don't know, it's the Cucuys. Cucuys, kind of the boogeyman, comes in the night, and grandma warned you if you don't behave, the Cucuy will come and get you. So we kind of played off that, but we've had an overwhelming response, positive. It's kind of fun, and we really always pride ourselves on being an inclusive place, but that doesn't mean that we don't try new initiatives and try things to really celebrate everyone in our community, and the Cucuys are part of that.
Well, you guys do a lot of great things out there at Inland Empire, and I know a lot of the promotional things like the bobbleheads and the blankets and all the cool kind of weird knickknacks you get for the fans that come through the turnstile at San Manuel Stadium. Do you get your hands on some of those things as well? Do you get to take home some of those cool things that you guys give out to the fans?
Every once in a while, one will slide into my office. Sure. Yeah. It's funny. I'm not really a collector, but since I've been this team, I do such a good job with it. I can't help it. Last year we had the Jansen double bobblehead because he was with the 66ers first. He was a catcher.
This is Mike Linscott, the voice of your Rancho Cucamonga Quakes baseball team, proud affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thanks for listening to Fox Sports.
You know what your problem is? It don't work out. Got exercise. Look at me. That's all muscle. Oh. You fat. I'm muscle.
Oh, look at my little Bill. He's a little Hercules. Show me muscle again. Oh, Hercules.
Once you work out, your metabolism start to speed up. You can eat anything you want. Go on.
We're back to the Inland Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Pep Fernandez and Jeff Gorham.
We are back here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports 1350 AM. It is a Friday, and we are here every single weekday from 3 to 6 p.m., and we are brought to you by Spoiled, Quick Quality Oil Change, Ken Sporting Goods, Boost Performance Training, and Catalano Motors in Corona. Well, it's always a treat to have this gentleman in the studio, the scribe of Riverside. I called him a fossil once because he is the only man left standing writing for Riverside, and he is the great Jim Alexander. Jim, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us on the Inland Sports Show.
I'm fossilized. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, a lot of stuff's going around. You got opening day yesterday. You've been covering golf. You covered Kirk Gibson. You had a great podcast. A lot going on.
I tell you what, I will be glad to get rid of March, because March, it's great because there's all this stuff going on, but it's like there's way too much stuff going on. I mean, you had the tennis tournament out in the desert. You had the NASCAR race in Fontana. You've got the LPGA tournament this week in the desert. You've got all the high school playoffs. You had 2 NCAA regionals in Southern California. You've got opening day. I mean, it's just one thing right after the other.
And you're spread kind of thin because...
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You had a great article earlier this week I had a chance to look at. It was on Lexi Thompson, a great LPGA player. Wow, what a story. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't know the story. Last year, she was in the same tournament out in the desert, which you're covering. Tell us a little bit about what happened last year that brought us to right now.
To make a long story short, a TV viewer, somebody who was watching the tournament on TV from the comfort of their living room or whatever, emailed the LPGA, the rules officials, and said she violated the rules. She did not replace a putt properly. She didn't replace her ball properly. She marked it, and then it was like a quarter-inch difference or something like this, okay? And for all these years, golf this happens too frequently. Golf is maybe the only sport where the people at home can get in on the action by calling and snitching on a player. You know, so this happened during the 3rd round on Saturday. She's off to a good start in the 4th round. She's got a 3-shot lead. And after the 12th hole, a rules official comes up to her and says, we're going to have to assess you a 4-stroke penalty. 2 shots for the violation that the viewer snitched on, and then two shots for signing an incorrect scorecard, which when she signed it on Saturday after her round, she had no reason to believe it was incorrect.
Strange.
She's ahead by 3, gets penalized 4, and she was talking about how, I mean, there's tears in her eyes, and she was emotional. You would be. And she was able to I think she birdied 3 of the last 6 holes, wound up in a playoff, lost the playoff. But the upshot of that is, and I said long story short, it's not really short, but bear with me. But this... I mean, there have been enough instances of this before. I mean, Tiger got dinged. I mean, a lot of other players on both tours have gotten dinged by stuff like this. In December, the USGA and the Royal and Ancient, which is the British, that's the birthplace of golf or what have you, they're the real guardians of the game, not the people watching at home. They decided that in conjunction with the major tours, they will no longer accept those calls and emails.
As well they shouldn't.
If you see something, keep it to yourself. We'll handle it on site. See, that's the thing. they've got rules officials that are watching this stuff on site, and they've got monitors and everything, and nobody caught anything. Nobody thought it was, it's not like she was cheating or anything. I mean, she moved her ball maybe a quarter of an inch to the left or what have you. That happens all the time. Professionals as well as recreational players. And it was just ridiculous.
Now
so hopefully that's done, and she's one of the ones that basically got that rule passed.
Now, did you have a chance to talk with her at all? Was the mental side of coming back to the scene of the crime, I guess you could say? What were her thoughts coming and playing in this tournament?
Well, she was saying I still have nightmares occasionally, but I mean, it's everybody that comes out here loves that tournament. I mean, it's the first major of the year. It's the same course every year. They do it right. The players all have a good time. So everybody likes this tournament. So that I get the sense that kind of helped her get over whatever bad feelings there were. That, hey, this is a happy place. I've won here. It's a good tournament. We're going to have a good time this week. So there. And right now she's 4 under after 2 rounds. So she's only 8 shots off the lead.
So this tournament, it's out of the desert, I assume?
It's at Mission Hills Country Club in Rancho Mirage.
And they're going to finish on Easter, it sounds like.
Yep.
That's got to be pretty special. Whoever wins is going to have a nice Easter egg and wake up to quite a bit of money and a nice championship.
And they're going to be jumping into Poppy's Pond, which is sort of the tournament tradition that the winner. And it used to be more of an impromptu thing. It started out, I think Amy Alcott was the first to do it. She won. She was so happy. Jumped into the pond next to the 18th hole. And now it's become sort of a structured sort of thing where it's the player and the caddy and her entourage and her parents and 9 people making the jump into the lake. And maybe we should go back to the more impromptu.
Yeah, just if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we know that you have covered baseball for many, many years. You're a big Dodger guy. A Padre guy, but let's go bring back to the Dodgers. Should the Dodgers be worried? I mean, I've been listening to sports radio all day. I've been reading all the newspapers. Everybody's seems to be the Dodgers lose their first game. Do they need to be worried at all?
That's almost like NFL style overreaction. There's 161 more games to play. I think some of the overreaction is that the last memory people had of the Dodgers before opening day was Yu Darvish getting his lunch handed to him in Game 7 of the World Series. So now you come out there, you've got Kershaw, who never loses on opening day, and they can't score a run. I think the top 5 hitters in the order were 0 for 17 with 8 strikeouts. You ain't going to win any games that way, no matter how well your pitcher pitches.
Now, we didn't see Austin Barnes yesterday. Was there?
Well, he was in there as a pinch runner in the 9th inning. He ran for Kemp after Kemp singled. But I would imagine that Grandal will probably get most of the at-bats, probably get most of the work behind the plate because, evidently he's kind of ironed out his swing and, he had a really good spring, so they're probably going to play him most of the time. But Austin will get some time behind the plate. He'll also probably get some time at second base. I mean, see, that's the thing with him because he can play multiple positions. And if you can play multiple positions, the Dodgers want you because they're going to have like 4 bench players. So to have guys that can play various spots, like Kyle Farmer can catch and he can play third. Kike Hernandez can play infield. He can play outfield. I mean, you got Logan Forsythe. He's a second baseman. He's playing third right now while Justin Turner recovers from his broken wrist. I mean, you've got enough guys with enough versatility that you can fill holes and move guys around and make it work.
Yeah, I think last year we saw a lot of the guys playing virtually every position. It seemed like they were moving guys around all the time. So,
that's Andrew Friedman and Farhan Zaidi. That's what they love.
So the Dodger fans, don't worry. The world's not going to implode.
Cool your jets. There's 161 left. They'll be fine.
Any new pitchers that are coming through the farm system that you've seen that possibly the Dodgers might bring up? Because we've seen the Dodgers over the last couple of years. They go down with the injury bug, but they bring guys in right out of the farm system.
And the thing about the Dodgers is they use the 10-day disabled list magnificently. Basically, they use it to give guys rest. They'll say, okay, go on the DL. We'll make up a hamstring injury or a rib injury or something or a strain, whatever. Take your time, miss a start, get some rest, and then come back firing. But the pitcher we will probably see at some point early on is Walker Buehler, the young man from Vanderbilt who has electric stuff. And I would imagine he would come up as a bullpen part, but if they need a starter, I don't know what they're going to do with him in AAA, which way they're going to go, but I think they will have him ready to do either or.
Well, everybody has been saying the word Bueller, and it's not Ferris Bueller, but Bueller is the up and comer.
And I think he used a takeoff on Ferris Bueller for his Twitter handle. So.
Well, now have you had a chance? I know yesterday the Angels suffered a loss. In fact, all of Southern California teams, the Padres, the Angels, they all took losses. But what about that Angels starting lineup? What do you think of? I mean, they've got a great group on the field, but their questions are the pitching.
The questions are the pitch. I love their everyday lineup. The only thing that to me would be a concern is if you're going to have Albert Pujols playing first base a lot in order to accommodate Ohtani as the DH, is he going to be able to handle that? He's 38 years old, and you just wonder physically if he's going to be able to handle it. But they've upgraded themselves more than anybody in the offseason, with Kinsler at second and Cozart at third and flanking Andrelton Simmons at short. I mean, that may be the best infield defensively in the major leagues.
Yeah, they have a possibility of having 6 Golden Glove infielders, and they're really fun to watch. What are your thoughts on bringing Ohtani starting the season? He's going to be, he's going to start on Sunday. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he should have gone down to the minors, or since they made such a pomp and circumstance and hoopla over this young man, should he be down in the minors, or do you have to play him?
I wonder if this is a business decision as much as it is a baseball decision. I mean, in spring training, what Ohtani showed was that he's got a lot of work to do. I mean, there is a gap between the Japanese League and Major League Baseball. And it's going to take him a while. He's going to be fine eventually. He's going to be fine, but it's going to take a while. And compound that with the whole pitching DH thing. And it's difficult. It's difficult to do one successfully on the major league level. To try and do both, that's a heck of a task, and it's going to take him time. Well, I think he can be successful, but Angel fans have to be patient.
Well, everybody is saying that his stuff is electric. He's got a great swing. It's just getting used to the American game. Everybody throws inside on him. He's going to have to get used to that.
He's going to have to get used to being backed off the plate, and he's going to have to get used to backing guys off the plate when he's on the mound. I mean, the thing, he's got electric stuff, as they say, but I've also heard it's kind of flat. I mean, there's not as much movement on it as you usually expect on that level. So we'll see.
Well, Jim, we're kind of going up against time here, but I would like to mention your podcast. You are in the Press Enterprise on a weekly and daily basis. Where can we go to find this podcast? Because there's a great podcast that you talk about Kirk Gibson.
PE.com.
PE.com?
PE.com. Yeah, we, they had a news conference with Kirk Gibson yesterday afternoon, and the sound quality could probably be better. I'll probably be better. I'll admit that. But he had some interesting things to say about his days with the Dodgers and also dealing with Parkinson's disease. And I think that's the one thing that we can bring out of this with Kirk Gibson is he's kind of living proof that, it's not good, but he's dealing with.
It's not the end of the world.
And yeah, he's setting a heck of an example.
Well, he is the great Jim Alexander, the scribe of Riverside, a dear friend of the show. Catch his podcast, catch his work on PE.com. Every single week, he is the best writer, the best man in the area, and a great, like I said, a great friend of the show. We're going to have you in shortly again. We'll talk more baseball, more hockey, and maybe some UCR basketball next time we come in.
I'd love that.
But he is the great Jim Alexander. I'm Jeff Gorham. We're going to take a break, and we'll close up the show, put a bow on the week on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports, 1350 AM.
If you don't say you love the Dodgers, you might not get into heaven.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Inland Empire sports fans turn to the Inland Sports Show.
You talk to the radio?
On Fox Sports IE.